Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the Sweetwater Minute. At GearFest 2016, Nick DiVirgilio from here at Sweetwater had a chance to sit down with drummer and percussionist Glen Caruba. They had a wide-ranging conversation and a great interview. Check this out.
How you doing, everybody? Nick DiVirgilio here at GearFest 2016, and my very special guest in studio today is Mr. Glen Caruba. How are you, Glen?
Fantastic.
Welcome.
Thank you,
nice
sir.
to have you here.
Thank you, my friend.
Glen is a master percussionist, has a long and storied career, played with a ton of people. Jimmy Buffett, Trisha Yearwood, some country acts, Kenny Rodgers, Barry Manilow.
Yes.
You know, lots of pop acts, tons of Latin music as well.
Yep.
You hail from Miami, Florida.
Correct.
So why don't we start this interview with telling us how you got your start. How did your career get going?
Yeah, so came up from Miami to Nashville in 1993. I wanted to move to one of the music capitals. So my choices were Nashville, New York, LA. I had a couple contacts in Nashville, and I just decided, let's give it a go. This is pre-internet and cell phones and all this stuff, so my networking had to really just be face-to-face. So I moved up and started getting out into some clubs and meeting producers. And at that time, there was a real big boom going on in Latin music in general, with Ricky Martin at the Grammys, and Santana Supernatural just dropped, and everybody wanted to have some sort of percussion on country records at that time, and I was just one of a few. So it was just good timing. And when I got up there in '93, I started pretty much working right away, and got in with some nice producer clicks, and was able to make some records and do some road work.
That's cool. Now, when did you actually start playing percussion? Were you a young kid?
A young kid. So right around about age 12 or so, I started out, classical percussion and then drum set, and then there was a big Cuban migration that came in 1980. And a lot of the Cuban immigrants that came through the school system, I was making new friends and learning about the music, and I just started to gravitate towards that, and develop my own style and bring that into my my musicality, and took it from there.
Well, it's such amazing music, all that Afro-Cuban Latin stuff. There's so much just rhythmic knowledge you can get from playing that music, and the feel that develops with playing that kind of stuff. So I'm sure that kind of helped you in your pop and kind of country music, just giving it that soul.
Absolutely. Yeah. The feel is a big part of it, and it's stuff that you really can't write down or notate. You just got to listen to a lot of records and just play with a lot of cats, and I was able and fortunate to do that. So, but the feel is everything for sure.
Very cool. Now, I've read that you are an educator as well. I mean, you have some DVDs and some books out that you've done over the years as well.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, distributed by Hal Leonard. I have 2 books out. One is a standard Afro-Cuban drumming book that takes you through a lot of the basics and a lot of the fundamental hand techniques that you would use in hand percussion and Latin percussion, as well as a lot of the typical grooves and musical styles. And then I have the contemporary percussionist, which is now taken that to the next level and adapting it to pop music.
Right.
And then I have a DVD that kind of sums all that up. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, those things are hard to make. How much research, how much did you have to delve into, get really into the minutia of making a book, writing a book, or doing a DVD? Because there's a lot of detail you have to get into.
A lot of detail, you're right. And a lot of that came just from teaching. I was teaching privately in Miami, and a lot of my schooling that I had at Florida International University was fantastic, but the real roots that I was getting from the players, working at a retail store down in Miami, and just having these, what we call the 5 o'clock rumba, where everybody would get together and drink Cuban coffee and just jam. And so a lot of that came from that, and I learned a lot of the rhythms, and I obviously had the skill set to do notation and things like that. So I kept writing out the same thing over and over again for my lessons, and then I'm like, I have to make this into an actual book, so I have to stop doing this, Glenn, And that's how it kind of started. And I approached Hal Leonard, and they took me on and started the publishing deal, and that's how it worked out.
Very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
Now, I also read, this is an interesting story, I think viewers would like to hear this. You have a world record for fastest hands. Yes. This was back in 2006, correct?
Yes.
And we were talking about just a second ago, it's probably still hasn't been broken as far as you know.
As far as I know, that is correct.
So tell the people how you got this.
The world's fastest drummer, the WFD competition, it happens at every NAMM show, and there is a drumometer, which is a device that measures every single stroke that you would play on a drum, and we adapted it for a cajon, and every time that you actually hit the cajon, it triggers a strike. As soon as you start playing, the countdown starts, and you have different lengths of time, whether it's 1 minute or 15 minutes. So for me, it was the sprint for 60 seconds on how many strokes that you can do. and it came out to 1,138 in 60
That's
seconds. It's
that's a lot.
It's about 19 strokes a second on average, and it's a full-on sprint to the finish. Yeah,
and your family liked you practicing for that as well, I hear.
yeah, there was a lot of times where I just said, why don't you guys go out to dinner without me, and I'll spare you this. But it was just nonstop machine gun sounding, you know, drumming going on, days on end for months practicing for this. But
Was there a lot of competition for that thing?
there is, and to this day even. So, and they have it for the feet, they have it for the hands with sticks, bare hands. So there's all different classifications for the competition. But still to this day, it goes on.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Very fun. So now let's get into the now.
Yes.
Your career now is you work for Pearl.
Yes.
National sales manager.
Yes.
And so you have a lot to do with the company. Great company with so many great instruments they make.
Yes.
Tell us how you got started with Pearl.
So after I moved up from Miami, and we talked about getting into the recording scene, Pearl started to get into the hand percussion world, and at the time it was called Afro-Cuban, which was a European company. They took that on as a distributor and started manufacturing it in Taiwan. And there were inherently some issues that were happening in the manufacturing process. I was able to meet some of the fine folks at Pearl, and they said, hey Glenn, we may need your help in just consulting us on what you think is good or not so good, or what we can do to improve. And that just led into like this consulting position at Pearl, where I was able to, you know, give them the insight of what I've learned through my years in Miami and making records, and now in Nashville. So they created a job for me, essentially. Started sending me to Thailand to visit the factories that make the percussion. And from there, it developed into a job in the marketing side and then the product development side. I've been with them since 1999 doing this. I have a dream job. I'm able to actually, you know, do sales and marketing and product development for these instruments that I get to go try out and play in the field and record with. And I can't think of anything better than that, and I just love it. So since 1999 I've been doing it, and yeah, worked my way through and transitioned to the sales side. So now the National Director of Sales, and I cover all the instruments, but I still keep my fingerprint on the pulse of what's happening on the hand percussion stuff. So,
speaking of that, there's
Yes.
some beautiful cajones. Pearl's making some fantastic cajones. I've been doing some videos for a lot of them lately, and they feel really good and sound really good, and I'm sure you have a lot to do with that.
yes.
So tell us about some of the cajones and the vision for that kind of stuff that Pearl's coming up with these
Yeah,
days.
it's not easy, because when you get right down to it, this is just a box, and how
Right.
do you keep reinventing boxes and making them cool? Well, you know, different materials and different woods and sorts. So for this cajon, this is an exclusive for Sweetwater, and this is the Ashwood cajon.
Right.
There's two other colors that you can have for the Ashwood, and we also have the Eco-Acoustic cajon as well, which uses an eco-friendly hardwood. Both of them sound fantastic, and they're priced right. Each of them are about $100, and highly recommend them. I just used this in a clinic here at GearFest.
Yeah, it sounded
and
killer. I was
Absolutely
there.
amazing, absolutely amazing. So, but yeah, I love the cajon development, and that's definitely a big trend right now in the market.
Sure.
You guys are doing fantastic.
It's so popular, and it's been that way for a while. And you guys make some cool, unique ones too. The Tri-Zone
Yes.
cajones. You have the Mach 2 and the Mach 3.
Yes.
So a lot of cool, innovative features with the cajones, and just really, really cool
Well,
stuff.
thank you very much. Yes.
Glenn, thanks so much for showing up here at Sweetwater. Loving the Pearl gear. Good luck for the rest of your career and the future, and we hope to see you again.
Thanks so much, Nick.
All right.
I hope you enjoyed this interview with Nick DiVirgilio and Glen Caruba. Thanks for joining me for the Sweetwater Minute. I'm Mitch Gallagher.